Hey guys, welcome back to Ferrigno Freedom channel. I'm Dante Ferrigno. I'm back to do a reaction to another video. Now this is a reaction that a friend of mine told me I should take a look at. He kind of knows what I've been going through with changing jobs and all the things that have been going on with my personal life. And he said, I know you were already doing really good and then you kind of got a little bit behind with all these changes going on in your life. You might find this one helpful. And it's a video by the Jocko podcast. It's titled, You're Not Getting Ahead. And the thumbnail says, I feel bad for not explaining this. Now, I've watched Jocko before, and I usually find his information quite useful. He's an interesting fellow, Jocko is. That's the best thing I can say for him right now. He's a lot tougher than I am, I can tell you that. So I like taking advice from people that give me good advice, and I found Jocko to be useful in the past. So let's take a look, see what we got here.
This is the Jocko Underground Podcast, number 110. Sitting here with Echo Charles. So I was preparing some things for the Def Reset, the Discipline Equals Freedom Reset. We're doing this thing at the January 1st, which I know.
Def Reset.
Why don't you just start now? Because you got to prepare. So I was making some videos for some strategies for January when the Def Reset kicks off. And again, I understand, why not just start now? Well, we're doing a mission. We got to prepare for the mission, so that's what we're doing. One of the things that we're doing during Def Reset, one of the components of Def Reset is prioritize and execute, because you got to get things done, right? We want to reprogram the way we get things done in life, because if everyone was getting things done the way they were supposed to, everyone would be in a better situation, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
100%?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Very few exceptions, if any.
So I was going through good protocols to get things done. Number one, night before, obviously, write the things down that you're supposed to do tomorrow. Write them down. I know this seems like it's such a simple little thing, but it has a huge impact in the way. Look, there's probably some neuroscience behind the fact of writing it down and putting the list out and being able to sleep while you're thinking about it, subconsciously coming up with plans of execution. But I'm telling you, if you got stuff you got to do, you should write it down the night before. Make a little checklist. I used to be obsessed with checklists.
Me too.
I still do checklists, but I used to be crazy with checklists.
Yeah.
Even
I wasn't
packing
crazy with
for a
them.
trip, every battery that was in my 3 kit bags of gear plus my big coffin bag, every battery had a little box with a check next to it. Every pair of socks had a box with a check next to it. Every pair of shooting glasses, box, check. So everything was a checklist. That's how you make sure you get things done. That's how you make sure you have the right equipment. So you write down the things that you have to do, and then you wake up and you prioritize and execute. Now, here's the advice that I'm giving around this. Prioritize and execute. Generally, when we talk about that from a leadership perspective, you want to focus on the things that are going to have the biggest impact on the team. So if we are in a gunfight and we have a wounded guy and we got civilians to deal with and we have our forces in a bunch of different places, what we're going to focus on first is the gunfight, because that's the biggest problem that we have. We're going to focus on the biggest problem. Once we solve that problem, we move on to the wounded guy, because that's our next biggest problem. Then we worry about the civilians and we worry about getting a head count. This is what we do. This is what we teach. Same thing in business. You're going to have situations in business that are blowing up, causing problems, clients flying off the handle, making extreme threats to the company. Like, these things are happening. You got to go deal with those things. But when it comes to getting things done in your life, and this does include your business, this does include your family, what I want you to do, one of the things that I'm advising you to do, is do the strategic things first. This is a little bit counterintuitive. What do I mean by strategic? That means I want you to do the things that are long-term in nature. Do those things first. Do the long-term projects before you do what is due today or what is due tomorrow. And I know this is counterintuitive. The thought would be, hey, I'm just going to do whatever's due soonest. That's what I'm going to work on right now. Right? Hey, this is the thing that's facing me right now. I'm going to do that. It's wrong. You should actually do the longer long-term things first. And I think this is, I actually feel a little bit bad about this. Sometimes we'd be training with
I'm not sure exactly what he means by the longer term things, but I know that I've talked about in recent videos, we did a review on Jordan Peterson's psychology of cleaning your room. And I talked about how sometimes you just got to look around and find something that needs to be done, that if you applied 30 minutes of your time to, you might be able to get either closer to getting it done or getting it done completely. And how that frees up so much in your mind when you start to do that on a regular basis, where you start to clean up little parts of your life so that there's not little small fires burning everywhere in your mental area of what you've got to do every day, so that you're able to focus on what you've got to do. Because it seems like there's so many things to distract us these days that it's very easy to just veg out watching television or doing something that's going to distract you from all the chaos that's going on in your life. But you've got to address some of that chaos if you ever want to have the comfort that you need in your soul to be able to get up and move to the next thing and to do the stuff that you need to do each day. It's real easy to get caught up in the grind of life where it just grinds you up and spits you out if you don't address those little issues of chaos. Now, my previous mode of doing this has helped me, I know, to just look at things and start doing them, because before I started eating a carnivore way of eating, you saw the way my countertop looked in my kitchen. It was just chaos. It was covered in all kinds of garbage food, and there were things there that I probably didn't need. And I remember how we used to throw away a ton of food compared to what we do now. My point is that just getting to that step of changing what I put in my mouth and in my body started to clean up all of the other aspects of my kitchen, which started to begin to clean up other aspects of my life, because now I got this one organized area of my life and it started to help me organize other areas. Now, I'd like to know what he means by the strategic things and the long term. I guess strategic and long term he's using interchangeably here. Strategic must be opposed to tactical. Tactical is something that you're able to do immediately. So you got to do the things that would probably be easier to accomplish. Like, it's easy to say, I'm going to knock this out, knock that out, knock that out. Like, a lot of times when I sit down to record a video, I start doing tactical things like going through my email and checking my reminders and doing a few other things. But this is the strategic thing I need to do that's going to get more attention to the channel so that I can reach more people about the benefits of a carnivore way of eating physically, mentally, and spiritually. So if I don't sit down and make a video like this, then I'm not going to further what I'm trying to do to help people. But if I sit down and check my emails and go through all my reminders and things that I have that are piling up first, I can go through my whole day doing stuff and not accomplish anything that's important for the long term. And then it's better to do those other things afterward. That's what I think he's talking about. So let's see if that's what he's getting at here.
And Dean will like show me some technique. And he'd be like, oh, to get out of that, you just do this. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you show me that 4 years ago? Yeah. And he'd go, oh, I could have thought you knew. I kind of feel bad about this right now. I kind of feel like this. That I haven't really emphasized this. This is something that I've done for a long time, and I haven't emphasized that I do this and why I do this. But when you make up your list of things that you have to do the strategic things first. So if you've got a long-term project, that's what you should do first. So, for instance, what's the first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning, Echo Charles? Every day.
Brush teeth.
Brush teeth. What do I do when I get done? Workout. Okay, wait a second. Is that strategic?
Work it out?
Yeah.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Yes, it is. You see that automatically a light should be coming on in your head right now.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So the first thing I do is this strategic, long-term, beneficial thing. That's what I'm going to do first. Guess what? I've got a book due. I'm writing a book. The book's going to take 4 months to write. Guess what? I'm doing that next. Going to write for 1 hour. Going to write for 45 minutes or whatever. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to spend the first hour or 45 minutes or 30 minutes or 90 minutes focused on things that will pay off in the long run. Then I can do the things that need to be done today. Then I can do.
Okay. I get what he's saying now. It is what I was saying. And I wondered about that because, one of the things that I've talked about is if you've been on my channel for a long time, I used to do a lot of walk-in talks, and I was also doing rucking. I was wearing a 40-pound vest that makes it a lot easier to work on muscle in your core and in your hips and in your legs when you're walking. Those walks were fantastic, and I did those from 2021 throughout most of 2022. And then I started to incorporate push-ups and squats into my walks so that I was getting my full exercise while I was doing that one walk, whether it was in the morning or the evening. Sometimes I had to do them in the evening because work didn't permit. And then when I changed jobs in 2022, I started working a graveyard shift at UPS, and that totally wrecked my schedule as far as being in my circadian rhythm. And I didn't realize, I knew it was important to have your circadian rhythm in balance, but 2023 really showed me how important it was, because at the end of 2022, from the end of November through mid-January, I think it was, or it might have been mid-February, I was working at UPS and I was working the graveyard shift. And then I started working at the World Equestrian Center here in Ocala as a in-room dining waiter at the hotel there. And that had me doing a lot of walking during the day, but I was also getting up to be there at 5 a.m. every morning. So my normal walk times, I used to like to go walking when the sun came up so that I could see the sunrise and I could let that early morning sunlight get into my eyes and get my neurons going, things that I talked about watching Dr. Andrew Huberman that helped me so much to be able to get that benefit that I was getting maybe from coffee or something like that in the past. Now I'm getting that wake-up benefit from early morning light and getting my circadian rhythm in balance. It was easy for me to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, start getting my exercise done, go on my walk and talk starting before the sun rose, and then getting back as the sun was still rising so that it wasn't too hot during the day. Having to be at work 5 a.m. 5 days a week really screwed up my schedule on doing that. And because I was walking at work, I was kind of justifying that I was getting my exercise because I was actually getting far more steps working as an in-room dining waiter than I was walking 3 miles every morning or rucking 3 miles every morning. I didn't realize how big of a deal it was that I wasn't getting that early morning walk, that early morning light, until just recently when I started about 2 weeks ago making getting up at 6:30 every morning to get going a priority. My schedule has me working in the evening. And sometimes I'm out very late, so it makes it hard to get to bed on time to where I can get up early enough to want to get out of the house. And because I don't have to be anywhere, especially during the summertime, it's been very easy to be relaxed about getting up in the morning. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I said, no more of that stuff. I'm getting up at 6:30 every morning at the latest, and I'm going to get out and get that walk done. So I've been doing that strictly for about 2 weeks, 6 days a week. I take 1 day off where I don't do anything. And it has really made a difference in my overall attitude. I've noticed I've been able to get my confidence back in a way because I'm doing something that's long-term important first thing in the morning and getting my teeth brushed just like you talked about, and then getting that early morning exercise. So important in my overall well-being and how I approach the entire rest of the day. Then I'm trying to get my schedule down for how I'm going to work on this channel, because I'm in a bit of limbo right now with my work, not knowing what to expect. It's been very easy to be distracted by the weight of what's going on. Because, I still have no feeling in my thumb after over 6 weeks of this accident, and that's concerning to me. So applying these little details that he's already talked about, I've noticed a difference just in a couple of weeks. And it's something that I already knew. If you go back and watch my walk and talks, you can see I had figured it out then. But having to change jobs and all the chaos that's gone on really has caused me to get out of sorts on these things. And just a short period of time, it's made a big difference. Let's see what else he's got to say.
Things that need to be done, by lunchtime. Then I can put out the fires. Then I can do the little tactical things. Now, bear in mind, this probably means that you are likely going to have to do the strategic things before other people show up. That's why I get up early in the morning. Because I want to get that strategic workout done. A workout is a strategic move in your life. It's not going to make an impact today. Look, it will make you feel a little bit better today. Sure. It's going to get your blood flowing. Yes. It's going to get your concentration up. Yes. It's going to make you focus. Yes. All those things. But those are just like little things. The strategic win is you're
Big
healthy
things.
in 4 years from now. That's what's strategic about
That's
it.
true.
So I have to get to work. I have to get up earlier so I can do that. I'm also going to write that book for 40 minutes. I'm going to do that before anyone else shows up to work or before anyone's going to call me or send me an email that they need some emergency solved. So when I get done with the strategic things, then I can do the little tactical things. Most jobs require you to be in the game for now, tactical today. That's what most things are. Most human beings that have jobs, they're trying to solve a problem that's due at lunchtime, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow morning, client calling, like meeting this afternoon. That's what most people are doing in most jobs all the time. And if we're not careful, we can let those tactical short-term things destroy our strategic goals. That's what can happen.
Wow.
And you look up in 2 weeks, you look up in 2 months, you look up in 2 years, and you've made no progress towards your strategic goals. And that's horrible. And a matter of fact, if it's something like health, if you don't work out today, you're going backwards. You're going backwards. You wake up in 2 years, and you wake up in 2 weeks, you haven't worked out, you're going to feel it. 2 months not working out, you're in a bad situation. Do not allow that. Do the strategic things first as often as you can. As often as you can. They will add up. And that's how you're going to win. And I apologize to the world for not talking about this in that kind of detail before.
Are there, because it feels like, and I'm talking from an audience member standpoint, point of view. So, of course, there are exceptions if there's something pressing, the more pressing or whatever. But just as a general way to prioritize, you're saying?
Yep, as a general way. A strategy for your prioritization is to do the strategic things first.
Yeah, that way you don't put it off, right? Because like those strategic things, it's easy to put them off because you're right when you say, yeah, I could just do that tomorrow.
Yep.
You could just do that tomorrow.
Here's an example. I've given this example before, not with this kind of clarity on the podcast, but if you and I are recording a podcast tomorrow and I have to prepare for the podcast, I'm also in the midst of writing a book. I owe 1,000 words a day on the book. The podcast is due tomorrow. Which one do I work on first?
The book first.
The book first. Why? Because, now I crack into the podcast, do a little bit of research, go down some rabbit hole, end up watching a YouTube video about some subject that doesn't really matter. Next thing you know, I squandered that hour. And I say, you know what? I'll just do the writing when we get done recording the podcast tomorrow, and you lose it. And you didn't move towards your strategic goal, and that's a problem. Same thing with working out. I'll just work out later. Well, guess what? Now the kids come home from school. They want to talk to you about this, and they want to help on the project. Now it's a little...
Oh, man, that is so important. He is absolutely right about the requirement to get these things done early. And I know the struggles of switching gears from where you're in a I stay up late as I want all the time type mentality, because that my wife and I have been guilty of that many times. And she talks about how she needs rest, she needs more sleep. And the kids talk about how they need more sleep. And when it's summertime and they don't have to get up for school, it's like impossible for me to get them out of bed early. It drives me a little bit nuts, but at the same time, it makes it easy for me just to say, forget it. I'm just going to go back to sleep too, and I'll sleep in a little bit late this morning. That's not the way to go. That's not the way to go. And the only way I've been able to do it and keep my sanity is to do it and not worry about what they're going to think or what I'm going to think or how. It's just when I hear that alarm go off in the morning at 6:30, if I haven't already gotten up, which a lot of times I do wake up before then, but when that alarm goes off, no hitting the snooze button. No trying to get a little bit more rest just beforehand. At the very least, if I have to, I'll take a nap in the afternoon. But sometimes I'm not going to have time to do that either. But if I get up and get started at the same time every day, it makes such a big difference in your overall psyche. I think it makes a big difference to keep that circadian rhythm in balance, that you're getting up at the same time every day. I saw Jordan Peterson talking about this one little aspect. Let me see if I can find it real quick. All right, this is a clip from the Road to Happiness that Jordan Peterson just released the other day, but it was a segment from when he was still teaching, and I find this to be very helpful. This is actually what motivated me to start getting going again and sticking with it. I had actually started a couple weeks ago, but I skipped a couple of days of getting up on time last week or the week before, whenever it was, and this past week or so I have been strict with it. And this is one of the reasons why is I saw this.
Very frequently what I'm doing as a therapist is helping people have a life that would work. You know, and you can parameterize that. It's like, what do you need? How about some friends? That people kind of like that. How about an intimate relationship with someone that you can trust, that maybe has a future? That'd be good. How about a career that puts you in a dominance hierarchy somewhere, so at least you've got some possibility of rising, some possibility of stabilizing yourself, and a schedule and a routine, because
here we go.
No one can live without a routine. You just forget that. If you guys don't have a routine, I would recommend, like, you get one going, because you cannot be mentally healthy without a routine. You need to pick a time to get up, whatever time you want, but pick one and stick to it, because otherwise you dysregulate your circadian rhythms and they regulate your mood. And eat something in the morning.
Well, that's obviously a big part of it, is having the right diet. And that's another thing that I've been doing is when I get back from my walks, I make something to eat as soon as I get back. I've already done my exercise for the morning, so now I can eat and not have to think about having a full stomach when I'm going to try to exercise later in the day. So I mean, it stacks one thing on top of the other, getting your day started right and getting your day started as early as humanly possible. I know a lot of your schedules are not going to allow you to be able to do the things that I'm talking about. But after the past 2 years, one thing I've learned is if you can't get your schedule to where it's going to keep you mentally healthy and keep you doing the things that are important for your body and your mind to stay healthy, then you need to find a way to change your schedule somehow. And that might mean a job change. And believe me, I know how hard it is. I know how difficult it is to go through those type of changes, because I've been going through them a lot since everything happened where I left the retirement home industry. You know, going from being an executive to being a salesman again, to being a package handler, to being a waiter. This has been mentally stressful for me. But getting back on doing the simple things that are important first thing in the morning, getting started with those long-term things, taking care of my teeth, taking care of my shave so that that's out of the way and that I'm all ready for the day. I'm ready for what I've got to do today. Then getting my exercise in, then coming back and going to the bathroom, getting my food ready for the morning, get my Bible study done that we do every morning with my family. And then the rest of the day, I've got my schedule set ahead of me for what I've got to do for work or what I've got to do for appointments or whatever it might be. And that is the way to live, is keeping those things organized. Because without it, it causes chaos. It causes chaos in your mind. It causes chaos in your life. And that's one thing we could all live with a little less, especially these days, is chaos in our lives. Well, that's what I think about it anyway. I'd love to hear what you think. Put your thoughts in the comments below, and I look forward to reading them. I'll see you guys next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
I'll tell you something. When I'm just getting home from work and it's late at night and I don't feel like making a whole steak, I am really glad I've got Carnivore bar handy. This gives me something that I can munch on right when I get home, and I don't have to feel like I'm doing anything I shouldn't be doing. And how could you go wrong with these ingredients? Grass-finished beef, grass-finished tallow, Redmond real salt. Can't go wrong. Carnivore bar. Get yours using my link and code in the description.